Okay, good evening, Rabbi. Good evening also to Torah Anytime. Thank you for emanating Torah to all of Klal Yisrael. Tonight's Zera Shimshon is sponsored by Razor Clicks, e-commerce emailing marketing done right. And we are also learning, should be Refuah Shalema for Elazar ben Matel, one of the fellows who learns with us every single week, needs a shtik refuah shalem. Learn Shem Zol help him b'schus the Zera Shimshon Chaim ben Nachum ben Chol. So I'm shiking a refuah shalem b'karev mamish. Okay, letter Yud Beis in Parshas Vayeishev. It's Shin Ayin Tes. Page Shin Ayin Tes, letter Yud Beis. Tonight we're going to learn about how to bring bracha into your house. Lahavi bracha el toich beisecha. Bring around bracha zum Stieb. Bring around bracha to your house. The most successful, there's a rainmaker and then there's a bracha bringer. He brings bracha to your house. His name was Yosef HaTzadik. Let me say what it says in the Zera Shimshon. On the pasuk Vayeishev es Yosef. Now I'm going to read for you. The Zera Shimshon brings you the bekitzer of 3 or 4 psukim. Bereshis Lametes. We begin with pasuk Aleph. He starts with Bais. Vayeishev hored Mitzrayim v'yikaneu paitifar saris parei sara tabochim ish mitzmiyad hashmelim asher haridu shama. Yosef was brought to Mitzrayim. He was purchased by the Mitzri, the Sar HaTabochim, the head of the butchers. Saris parei, one of the assistants, one of the servants of Parei. So Yosef was brought to a very choshev a place. Vayihi Hashem es Yosef. This is where the Zera Shimshon begins quoting. Pay attention. Vayihi, and it was Hashem es Yosef, with Yosef. Vayihi, and he was Ish Matzliach. Vayihi bebeis Adoinov HaMitzri. Which word is repeated 3 times? You get one choice. Vayihi. That's kind of excessive, as the Zera Shimshon is going to ask. Vayihi, Vayihi, Vayihi. Vayihi achar advar meila. Usually it says 1 Vayihi. Here is 3. So obviously the pasuk wants to make 3 different points. Number 1. Next pasuk. Vayar adoinav ki Hashem itoyin Hashem, and the master sees that Hashem is with him. V'chol asher hu oisa Hashem atzir biyod. Everything that he does, he has atzlocha. Vayimtza Yosef chen be'einav vayishares oisoi. So Yosef found favor in his eyes, and he became not only involved as an eved in his house, he became his personal misharis. Vayishares oisoi. He started serving him, his own butler. A fellow can have many servants in the house. Somebody takes care of the horses. Somebody's taking care of the bathrooms. No, Yosef is taking care of Paitifar. He's his own personal misharis. Why? Because Yosef was Motzachein Be'einav. And it said in the previous pasuk, he was Hashem Matzir B'yodai. Then it says, Vayifkadeyu al Beisoi. That's even a higher level. Not only was he his own misharis, he just became chief of staff. He just took over the house. V'chol yeshloi, and all that he had, nosan biyodai. So he's really now not just his personal misharis, but he's all misrad hapnim ve'misrad hachutz. If you know what that means. He's taking care of everything interior and exterior. Oh, finally, Vayihi me'oz hivkid oisoi bebeisoi. From the time Potiphar was mafkid him over the house. Ve'al kol asher yeshloi, sounds repetitious. Vayivorech Hashem as Beis HaMitzri biglal Yosef. The Egyptian, this Mitzri, became extremely successful Biglal Yosef, of course, because everything was under his domain, Yosef's domain. Vayihi birchas Hashem bechol asher yesh lo. And there was the bracha of Hashem in everything. Babayis ubasadeh. In the house and in the field. What's talk to Rabbi Yosef?
Why did Petipa deserve such bracha?
Because of Yosef.
Because of it, but why Yosef is the...
Was it their giton? What was he like? A good kasha. Let's see in B'toich Dvareinu we can come up with that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam shehakol niyeh b'dvaroy. Those are the psukim. Let's go to paragraph 2 with the Zera Shimshon's questions. Yesh ladaktik ma'u shloisha pamim vayihi b'pasuk echad. As we mentioned when we read it, it was pretty obvious. Vayihi, vayihi, vayihi. Obviously, the Torah Kedusha wants to make a point of this. The fact that Hashem was with Yosef, he was the Ish Matzliach, and he was in the Bais of the Mitzri. Those are the three vayihis. That's for one question. The order of the pasuk is, first it says, Vayimtzu Yosef Chaim be'enov, he found favor, then Vayisharis Oisai. You would think that maybe because he was serving him, there was exposed, they saw each other, he got to know him, then it was Matzah Chaim. It seems to be it was Matzah Chaim first. Little bit backwards, says the Zera Shimshon. Shetchila Oivid Ois v'achagach Matzah Chaim be'enov. Isn't it usually you hire somebody, you like the job that he's doing, and then you want to give him a promotion. You don't like him first and then give him the job. How'd you get to know that you liked him? You have to first l'cha'ira get to know him. That's two. And ma'uzachain. What is the chain that we're referring to? Question number 4. It says 2 times. Vayafkideyu abeisoi, vayima'oz hifkid oise bebeisoi. Halakra omer vayifkideyu, v'dailoi lomer vayifkideyu abeisoi, v'chol asher nosan lo, v'chol asher yeshoi nosan, v'baruch Hashem es Bais Mitzri. Why the repetition of the Pekida? Bekitzer, the Zera Shimshon is being medaktek. He's asking what's going on, and really where the Zera Shimshon is going, as we said in our little introduction, these psukim tell a story of how a farsholten mitzri, it means a cursed person, can have bracha in his house. That's what this pasuk is all about. Alachas kama v'kama, we certainly want bracha in our house, and the Torah Kedusha teaches us a lesson. So medaf learning, we have to learn from this how lehavi bracha el toich beisecha, how to bring bracha in. Let's learn the sugya. Zug de Zera Shimshon isya b'medrash. We'll start on the pasuk vayakni'ehu poitifar. Vayakni'ehu. So says, I'm going to read you the source. He again brings us just snippets. Let's learn the source. Perek Pei Vav. This is Shin Ayin Tes, letter Yud Beis. Vayakneu haknuyin koinen. The one who acquired was acquired. The owner, the roles switched. The owner became the servant. That's what the Medrash says. How so? What do you mean? Says v'chol avodim misyach machasrin as beis rabbah. Usually an eved is taking away from this house. The master has to supply, and the eved are taking. Avol zeh vayevorach Hashem as beis mitzri beglal Yosef. Yosef is bringing bracha into the house. He becomes the source of bracha. In a sense, he's becoming like the boss. He's bringing in the hachnosa. Kol avodim chashudim al gezel. When you get an eved, you have to be worried about a gezel. You know, a person sometimes has workers come to the house, has sometimes misharsim in the house, they ganva, right? You have to be careful who you let in your house. You never know, right? Avodim, you have to be careful, right? Not this one. Not this one. This Eved Yosef, Avozeh, Vayilaked Yosef is kol hakesef. He's gathering the money. He's got ehrlichkeit. He's honest. Kol avodim chashudim ala erva. You have to be worried about them. They're shtufei zima. You have to be worried about inappropriate actions. Not this fellow. Avol v'lo shama eleha. She's making advances. He says no. Yosef HaTzadik is so different than any other Eved. You don't have an Eved like that. Says the Zera Shimshon. This is the quote. V'lechein, thank you. V'lechein Amar Kosev. This, says the Zera Shimshon, is what the pasuk is hinting to. The quality of Yosef. Yosef, the pasuk says, is acquired by Potiphera. Yosef is acquired by the Sarat HaBochim. And different than all other avodim, it's immediately, you can see he's not the same like everyone else. He has integrity. Says the Zera Shimshon, number one, L'chein kosev Vayeishev es Yosef, which means to say, Shayashem itoy v'imkein vada lo haya choshed ala erva. He wasn't choshed, he had a certain, by the fact that they're Vayeishev, you could see Hashem with him, he had a kedusha to him. He was holy. Vayish matzliach imkein vada lo haya choshed ala gezel. He had a tzloch, he didn't need to steal. He had atzlach, he wasn't down and out, he had no pressure, on the contrary. Everything was like the golden goose, whatever he touched, worked out. Even though it was a mitzvah house, and this house did not deserve any bracha. What exactly did this mitzvah stand for, that this mitzvah deserves bracha? Rabbi Ketei's question. Ve'im kol zeh, Gam Sham Hashem Itoy v'Haya Matzliach. And yet the Rabbi Hashem is with Yosef, because Yosef HaTzadik becomes like a magnet to bring bracha into his house. V'kishehirgish Adoinov Shashem Itoy, when the master realized that, whatever Yosef did, no matter for whom he was matzliach, he saw that Yosef was like a lucky charm. He saw Yosef's hatzlocha as something which was gitta mazel. Interesting. The Zera Shimshon on his own must have lived in a time where people were writing kemeim, and the kemeim that the person wrote was matzliach. He got that type of reputation. V'lechein motza Yosef chein be'einav. The chein was the fact that he was able, whatever he was doing was hatzlocha. V'rotza shu davka yisharis oisai. Why? Kedei shetehei hatzlocha zebemaisa yodov. Once he saw that Yosef was matzliach with him, the goy was smart enough to know, and to be humble enough to know that who's buttering his bread. Very good, Shane. Who is Achroy, and where is he? A person with an ego, a person with gaiva, wouldn't be able to stomach this, and would see this as competition, and would see they would send him out of the house, but that he would have lost all of his bracha. The lucky thing that this Potiphar had is that he had enough seichel to see that tzloch of Yosef and let him run with it, because whatever he does ultimately reflects good on you. So therefore, v'chein hoya shemiyad kedei shetishra habracha av bebeiser b'schusay shel Yosef, so that the bracha should be chal in his house because of Yosef. Soon we're going to see an opposite story. V'chein hoya shemiyad hifkid oisay bebeisay, as soon as he placed him on the house, hirgish shenishtalcha habracha bebeisay. As soon as Yosef became in charge, everything in the house just started to have hatzlacha. His animals, his fields, what grew in the house, there was just hatzlacha everywhere. V'zeu vayhi ma'oz hifked. So the Torah Kedosha wants to make a point of actually giving credit to Potiphar for at least having the humility and understanding that it's because of him that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving Hatzlocha because of Yosef.
As opposed to Yaakov working for Lavan.
Oh, the next shtikala. We just started Sanhedrin. Is there a Sanhedrin Gemara here? Maybe. We just started Masechta Sanhedrin. And let's open up a Gemara Sanhedrin, please, and see an opposite story. Exactly what you mentioned.
While we're waiting for that, how come we mentioned Yosef Tzaddik in Berger Kahana? Berger Kahana in the the Kahanim don't know about it.
Right. The Kahanim said that.
You're busy.
Right. I'm giving you the brucha.
We say Kashem.
Because that's a bracha in Chalaimos. And Yosef is the Baal of Chalaimos. So Avada, that's the reason. Tizkel mitzvahs. Shkoyach. The Zera Shimshon brings a Gemara in Sanhedrin. You're going to get there, Be'ezus Hashem, in about 37 days. The Gemara says like this, 38. Ubezeh yuvem adamrinam beperek dal the Sanhedrin. There was a king Achov. Achov was a Russia of a king. Achov had Ovadia working in his house. Vayikra Achav el Ovadyahu Asher al Beisa Va'Ovadya Hoya Yorei Hashem Ma'oid. He had tremendous Yirah Shamayim. Maika Omar was der gesagt. Amr Rabbi Yitzchak. Achav said to him, "You're not such a big tzaddik. You're not such a big tzaddik. You're a faker. Ovadia, you're a faker. You know how I know? You know how I know? Be Yaakov Siv, when Yaakov was in the Bais of Lavan, state Nichashti vayivarcheni Hashem beglolech. Lavan, who was a big Rasha, Lavan had gesagt, I know that thanks to you, Yaakov, I got bruch in my house. All of my sheep. When Yaakov asked for his schar, Lavan acknowledged that Yaakov, you brought bracha to my house. B'Yosef Sivai Baruch Hashem is Bais Mitzri. Biglal Yosef Beisa do Gavra, because of the Mitzri, because of Yosef, the Bais of the Mitzri became full with bracha. Aber said Achov, Beisa do Gavra lo yavim mevarech. You've been working for me, and my house has no bracha. Shema lo yorei Elokim ato.
Who's that?
Achov said to Ovadia, Makara, I thought you're big tzaddik. When a tzaddik comes into your house, you get bracha in the house. Lohavi bracha toich beisecha. When a person collecting money comes into your house, you want b'kayv mitzvah tzedakah, bring him in, give him something to drink. Zolemachan abrucha. Lahavi bracha toich beisecha. When you mechabed him, it's sometimes even worth more than the check or the cash that you're giving him. You give him respect. You give him respect. You show him that he's welcomed in. You let him speak. You give him a drink. It's bracha lahavi bracha toich beisecha, and that brings bracha to the house. Yotza baskoil. And Achov is saying to Ovadia, Evo ha-brocha sheli. Yotza basko v'omer Ovadia hoya yorei es Hashem ma'oid. Avol beisoi shel Achov einoi mezumin lebrocha. You can't get bracha in your house. You can't bracha in your house. Ask the Zera Shimshon why. Mazeh, what's the chilek? Why was it that Yosef and Yaakov could bring bracha into the house? Lavan was a cursed person, and yet Yaakov could bring bracha there. Achov, oichet harosha, but Ovadia, yorei lekim ma'oid. Maze mishaneh. What's the chiluk? Let's go back to the Zera Shimshon. Let's go back to the Zera. B'zeh yuvim adamin beperik daladi misanhedrin. Rabbi Yitzchak Ocham Elachav Lavadya. B'Yakov Ksiv, it says Nechashi Barachenu Begalech. B'Yosef Ksiv Evarachim Es Beis HaMitzvah Begal Yosef. U'Beis Hadugav Eloi Mevarach Shem Eloi Yor Lekimhu. Yotze Baskol, exactly like we read the Gemara. Avadya Yorei Hashem. Achov Eine Mezumen Lebrocha. V'Kosher. Eich Yitochen. Shebeis HaMitzri. Yiyem mezumin lebrocha yoiser mebeisei shel Achav. Achav b'cholzos was a Yid. It was in Eretz Yisrael. The Mitzri was Nishken Yid. In Mitzrayim. How is it possible that there's brocha by the Bais Mitzri and not by Achav? V'yesh loymar, zok the Zera Shimshon, de lo oilam av bebeis ha-mitzri lo hoysa shoyra brocha. There shouldn't have been brocha in his house. Ilav sha'adoinav moser li Yosef kol ma sheyesh lo. Ki'ilu hu adoin u'Moshe bakoil. That's what the Medrash means when it says that Vayakni'ehu, he purchased him, the purchaser became purchased. The master had the humility to say, Atam uvarach, you're gebench, take it. Bring bracha into my house. I'm not going to get in your way. The Mitzri had enough humility, had a little bit of anova to understand, let him do it. Erez HaGebenshta, so many times you have bosses that have workers and their ego gets in the way of their own hatzlacha. They can't stomach the fact that they have a worker who's doing so well. And they are their own biggest enemies. They're their own biggest enemies because Yena brings bracha to you. Let him shine. Right. That's the one nekuda that this Potiphar had going for him. Believe it or not, Aval Ayvadia im achav lo hoya efsher zeh. Shari achav hoya melech ubeisa nikra beis hamelech v'amalchu shari la'atzmai. And he kept it. He was the king, and he wasn't going to squander or give away any type of covet because this should be Ovadia's house. Ich bin doch der Melech. It's a Beis Shal Melech. Beis Shal Melech, it's a cursed house because you're an Ovid Avodah Zarah. If the house identifies by you, Melech, and you're a Gesholtene, and you're cursed, you're not going to have bracha in the house. Potiphar was smart enough to let it be like Yosef's house. Once it became Yosef's house, it became full of bracha. Even Lavan Aramai, you know what he did? They pashut. Lavan went to play golf. That was it. I got Yaakov, I got the Ganaidim. He's taking care of everything. I can just go. I'm busy. I don't have to worry about anything. So too Potiphar. Shemosu akol biyad Yaakov Yosef. It's exactly what Yosef told Eishes Potiphar. Hey, Nadoni lo yoditi ma elevadi kedarminan kiloimar. The reason that he gave me everything is for a bracha. The reason there's bracha is because I'm not shtufei zima. I'm honest. I'm not being goyzul. I'm doing everything so erlich. You want now, I should do this chas v'shalom aveir with you. All the bracha will disappear. Everything that he wanted. How can I go ahead and do this? The Sifsei Kohen adds the following. When Yosef came in, his master would say, I want something hot. Yosef would say a few words, and he would give him hot water. I want something lukewarm. Yosef would say a few words, and he gave him, and the water was lukewarm. The Sifsei Kohen says, it comes from a Medrash. Ra'u Rabba, his rabbi saw, Melachish. Amlamata Melachish. What are you whispering? Oh, 1 second, it's beforehand. Vayar Adoinav ki Hashem itoi. He saw that Hashem was with him. Ro'o be'einav hamalach. He saw with his eyes the malach shaya imay. V'chein v'chol asher hu oisa Hashem. Roisha tevais gematria malach. 91. Vov aleph hey ayin yud. 90 plus the koil 1. He saw v'chol asher oisa, a malach came and took care of him. V'nikra malach b'shem mishalchai. Im came vayar adonav ki Hashem itay shiro malach Hashem bechush harois. He saw the malach with him. He saw Yosef said something, like it says in the Medrash. Hayaroisa malachish nichnes malachish v'yoytze mozuk roischem. He said, I want hot v'hayaroischem. Paishrim hayapaishrim. Whatever he wanted, he used the name Pirish Malchish V'Nichnes Shoyim Malachish Im Shem Mem Beis Shalomdu Aviv. What's called the Shem Mem Beis. That's why it says the Sifsei Koyin, Matzliach biyodoi, Matzliach biyodoi. The Hatzlacha biyodoi was Shem Mem Beis. Rosh Teves Mem Beis. V'chein ein sar beis asoyer ro'o, Mikol me'uma biyodoi. Mem Beis. Tevas Mem Beis. Therefore he saw the shame of Hashem in Yosef's name, and Yosef was able to do whatever he wanted. Says the Sifsei Kohen, now watch. When he was whispering, the Medrash says he asked him, what are you doing? You're bringing kishuf? You're bringing sorcery into Mitzrayim? He says, no. He says, I'm benching my food. I'm making brachas. Whenever I eat something, I make a bracha. Whenever I do something, I talk to Hashem, Baruch Ata. Amalei mevayrich ani. LaHaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shenoisen mozen l'chol birya. I'm giving a brachas. Amalei herali. I want to see Hashem. I want to see Him. I want to see the Rabbi Shalom.
Don't we all?
Amalei, I'll tell you something. You see the sun? He's called Shemesh. You know why he's called Shemesh? Because he's a Shamish. He serves Hashem. He's one of thousands of Shamoshim. Can you look at the sun? You can't even look at the Shamish. You want to see the master? HaKadosh Baruch Hu alachas kama v'kama. How are you going to look at the Rabbi Shalom? You can't see the Shamish. How can you see him? Ubeshvi loy nigol v'HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vayar adoinav ki Hashem itoi timtza b'rosh teves koyach Hashem. Now, v'lefi shehe'era koyach she'omer la Hashamish ech meshamsel afanav. V'lefi, listen, sheloi bitol birchas hamozon. He was not mevatel birchas hamazon. It says that the Avos did all of the mitzvahs. The one bracha, every bracha is d'Rabbanan. There's one bracha d'Araisa. Hazonas ha'olam. Shezonas ha'olam kuloi. Shenemar, because of that, Zocha v'Yosef hu hamashbir. He, listen, recognized that Hashem was Zon es ha'olam kuloi. So Mida keneged Mida, Yosef became Zon es ha'olam kuloi. He was the one who was in control of all of the food of Egypt. Lefi derech hasoid, sha'al yodoi yored shefa l'knesses Yisrael. Yosef was the one who was zoichet to bring down all the hashpos. Lezeh hayozoyer bebirchas hamazon shechosam hazon es hakoil v'chein alo oretz v'ala mazon. I want to tell you the following Maisa. I want to tell you a sipur. The story is 10 years old. Maybe I said it over the last few years. I've nicht Iberzogen lekovid my uncle Scheiner Rabbi Vayeishev Shimon Yosef Wolfson, who passed away about during Chalamoid Sukkos. He came. His last name was Wolfson, not to be confused with the Wolfsons that live here in Far Rockaway and Lawrence, a different family. The Wolfson family came from England, and the family, as Reb Shaul is saying, not Zev Wolfson, richer, more money, mehr Geld. The Wolfson Tzedakah fund has £1 billion in it. Just the Tzedakah fund. Okay? They built shuls and they built whatever, the Wolfson Towers, like one of the things that, what's that?
The neighborhood.
The whole neighborhood. And in Netanya and in Rehovot and etc. v'chulei. 10 years ago, after Pesach, 2014, one of the cousins had his 80th birthday and invited the entire mishpacha to England, a hotel named Claridge's. They said 14 years ago, that Friday night dinner for 287 people was £1 million. That's what das hat gezahlt. Auf a Freitag bei Nacht.
How much it cost and how much they ate.
That's what. It was one of the fanciest hotels in England.
Okay.
The mishpucha, the Zayda Shmuel had, I think, 11 kids. 3 boys, 8 girls. Of all the kids, one was from. His name is Shlomo had 1 kid. His name was Shmuel Zev, the Bechor. He was from. That was Uncle Aviezer's father. There was then Isaac, who was known in England as Sir Isaac Wolfson. He was the mastermind behind the business. And son-in-laws, etc. The ganze mishpacha, Kimat, was there. A few hundred people. The Rabbi Aviezer, his side of the family, made up most of it. And they were, Baruch Hashem, there's a yeshiva in Beit Vegan today called Wolfson's, which Scheiner has 1,000 Talmidim. It's called the Wolfson Academy. It's Rabbi Aviezer's sons, Reb Daniel's yeshiva. Al Kapunim, they were sitting together. It was the end of the Su'udah. Everybody had gotten up to speak. The last speaker was one of the cousins named Jeffrey Stern. And he said the following. He said, Sir Isaac, although he was not 100% Orthodox, but he was traditional. One of the things that he was makbid on was that whoever sat at his table would bench and sing benching with him. From the beginning. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu till Hazanas HaKol Noide Lecha Bizn Sof. Till the end. Und hat gesagt, the hatzlocha I have with my ashiras is because I always thank Hashem for what He gives me. When I sit down to eat, we all bench together, and whoever was at his table, it didn't matter. You sat in the table for 2 hours, you could spend 5 minutes, singing benching takes 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Not that people sit at the table for 2 hours, 3 hours, and benching is in 2 minutes later, they're done.
Or 2 seconds.
Never.
No.
I'm not choishish.
No, I'm just saying.
7 minutes, you're there for 2 hours. We tried it. When I came back from England, I was so impressed. My kids thought after 1 month, okay, Tati, you know the way it goes. 1 month was 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. It's been 10 years. But I can tell you, Ma'oz, from the time we started benching together, the amount of bracha by Mirin Shtub was mamish above and beyond everything that we had until then. Everything escalated in bruchas. Everything. I heard from others who tried it, And they didn't give up after 2 weeks, 3 weeks or month, but they kept to it. And from that time on, they brought bracha into their house. That's what the Sifsei Kayin says, Yosef HaTzadik. Hat gesagt, Hazon es ha'olam kuloi. He wasn't intimidated by his surroundings. He couldn't care less what anybody else said. Ir gai benchen. Like there's an organization, it's called Bench via Mensch. That's right? Bench like a mensch. Blam, I think it's called. Kraus. He was mamash gebenched. He benched anywhere. Says, listen to what he says. Kol hashefa leknesses Yisroel is because he was zohir b'mincha b'birchas hamazon. Shechoisem hazon es hakoil is Yosef HaTzadik was zoicha to be hazon es hakoil. He was taka, the one who was on es hakoil. And if a yid wants to have bracha in his house, try it. I dare you.
Bench with Kavanah?
Bench, sing it. Sing it with your mishpucha. That was. Was steht in Chinuch. Yeah. Sing the benching. Sing it with your mishpucha. Has gesetzt you. We ate for a meal for 2 hours. You ate for 2 hours. Sigit gewein. Benching is only 2 minutes. Time-wise, how much time does it take? And the kinder are going to look at you. Really? Look, what happened to Abba? Yeah, and then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. All my kids do it now, all of them. We're doing it for 10 years. And Baruch Hashem said, "Do brucha in shtib." There's bruch in the house. They're all teenagers. They already have. My Einekach are already teenagers. So you want to bring bracha into your house? We ask via Zoy. The one bracha in the Torah, which is the Araisa. V'achalta v'savota v'rachta. How many times do we have mezoinus? So we shouldn't bench. You know how you're shooting yourself in the leg? Do you understand what you're doing? Nebuch. I can't bench. Let me have a mezoinus roll. I'm not going to get into it how kosher that is anyway. Right? Yeah. Pizza's hamoitzi. And when you make hamoitzi and you have, and it's a yetzer hara, like everything in life. Willst matzliach sein? Adarabah. Be matzliach. Bring bracha into your house. The only bracha in the Torah, right? V'achalta v'savato v'rachta, and you bring bracha into your house. Mazoi bring manarayim bracha. You're mekadesh shem shamayim in your house. You're zoicha to bracha. You become a makara bracha, and like Yosef HaTzadik, you become a tzinor, a pipe to bring bracha down into your house. Was